you know, in life, as you know, and all the listeners know, we will get hit, right? It's not a matter of whether it will happen; it will happen. I've heard you say in an interview before, like, and you just spoke about it briefly. Your father was a big piece of your foundation. You had a lot of respect for him, and you know, I'm sorry to hear about the loss that happened recently. You know, I lost my grandmother, someone who was very dear and close to me, practically raised me last year, and it can be tough, right? Especially with any person, but men especially, right? Uh, I believe your father was diagnosed with dementia.
Yes.
Now, what were those times like for you, right? And I ask that in the sense of when we are felt with certain pains and certain discouragement and things that happen as men, we tend to isolate ourselves and pretend like, man, look, everything is good. Like that's pops, like that's friends, but like, you know, I'm strong. I'll get through it on my own. But that's not always the case. And a lot of times we cry in silent and we kind of die in silent. So what were those times like for you, man? Because again, that's your father, but you're at a stage now where you kind of have to be open to those around you, to your wife, your spouse, your friends, to try to make them know that like this is how I can be helped. But was that the story for you, or was it something completely different?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. One of the biggest challenges for men right now, specifically in the United States and beyond, is that silence you're talking about, is that loneliness that you're talking about, is that disconnection where we pull away from people. Two of the most dangerous words that a man can say when you ask him how you're doing is, "I'm fine."
Mm,
How many times have you asked a buddy or a friend how you doing, or have you answered how you doing?
yeah,
I'm fine. And
yeah,
like most people, you got responsibilities, you got trips to take, you got business to do, you got kids to raise, wives, etc., dinner to cook. When my father passed after a long battle with dementia, I went into work mode. I'm good. Told him, I'm good. I'm fine. I'll be all right. Hey, it happens. We knew it was going to happen eventually. All the outward stories, all the stuff just to deflect and not accept what was going on. That doesn't matter how long you know that someone's going to pass away. When it happens, it hits you. And I had this really powerful moment. One day I was at home and the doorbell rang. And I was like, who's delivering a package this late? And I went and opened the door, man. And I got this box and it was heavy. It was heavy box. I was like, oh, what's this? And I went to open it up. And this was a few weeks after my father passed away. And I opened it up, man, and it was my father's ashes from being cremated.
wow,
And that right there, you talk about the floodgates
yeah,
opening up, that moment when I couldn't deflect anymore, when I had to go to my wife, and even I get emotional talking about it right now, shared with her what was going on, like in my dad's ash, like the person's here now that I'm holding a box of ashes. It was challenging, man. Healing as well. Tears can be so healing. So many men are emotionally constipated.
mm,
We have a backlog of emotions that we have not let out: fear, sadness, anger, and even joy. And listen, I've been in that category for many seasons over the course of my life. And that release, when that box of ashes showed up, was one that was necessary. I remember after my father died, somebody said something to me. They said, well, you're Mr. Neves now, because my dad's no longer with us. And I was like, wow, that's heavy. What an honor, right? I'm Mr. Neves now. As long as I'm living, my dad, he's in me, right? He's literally in me with my DNA. As long
yeah,
as my kids are here, if they choose to have kids. But I just invite people, when you're going through a challenging time, it's easy to isolate. It's easy to hide. It's easy just to not pick up the phone and text people. But I invite people, as challenging as it is, to confront it, have those tough conversations, release what needs to be released. And I'm part of a men's community, and there's an international men's community that I founded called Man Morning, where if I didn't have that weekly men's community where I meet up, it would be a lot more challenging.
man, thank you for sharing that, man. It instantly made me think about when my grandmother passed away. I lost a lot of people early in my life, and it hasn't been a good thing, but it's affected me in other ways, you know. And when things happen to you consistently, it feels like the norm, and it doesn't mean it's a good thing, but you just get a little used to it. Not that it's a good way, right? But it made me think of when I saw my grandmother, man. She was in Jamaica. She was having early signs of dementia as well, too. And like, they sent a picture of her in her casket.
Wow.
Beautiful white dress, beautiful white hat, but she was smiling. And I realized that, like, her dementia was starting to grow. But every time that she would hear my voice, she wouldn't forget me.
Wow.
She would forget a lot of things, but she wouldn't forget me. And that always stuck with me, where it's like, you know, even though people that we love, they may not be here, they're always here. And that's something that sticks with me to this day. Like, I look at her picture all the time when I'm just like, when I'm praying and want to talk, you know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
that has helped me. But